A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generation. The eternal light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, The Physician and the Sorcerer, was written by Alan Marcus. Featured as Samuel is Roger DeKoven. My name is Samuel. I was born long ago in a time no one now remembers, in a remarkable kingdom beyond the farthest line of parallel. I have a question to ask. Do you ever think of the world as a cave, an unlit place where the weak are trampled, a vein of darkness? I ask you this because once I knew a man who thought the same thing. It all happened long ago, back in the days when I was serving as physician to the Emperor Naaman, in the kingdom beyond the farthest line of parallel. I think his story may interest you a little, because in a way it is your story. But listen, and then you can decide for yourselves. In those days, in the kingdom beyond all lines of parallel, life was very good. The Emperor Naaman was a kind man, although at times absent-minded. And his subjects were thrice blessed. They had good harvests, good health, and good hearts. I myself lived simply near the edge of the city, with my wife Anna, my two sons, Raphael and Levi, and my goat Ezekiel. My story begins one morning when my wife said,
"Now, Samuel, you won't forget."
"Forget, Anna?"
Oh, there, you see, you've forgotten already. Remember what you promised last night. Remember what we talked about?
Last night, we talked about Raphael and Levi and the new dress you're going to get and...
Samuel, what did the king tell you a few days ago? What did he ask you to do?
The king? What? Now I remember.
What did he ask you to do?
He wanted me to be on time in the mornings. He wanted me to stop wandering in so late in the day.
And what did you promise last night?
Don't worry, Anna, I remember. I promised you I'd get to the palace on time from now on, and I will. There's no difficulty in that. Just let me find where I put my hat, and I'll be off without delay.
Samuel, dear, you're wearing your hat.
What? Oh, yes, that's right. So I must have put it on while I was talking. I'll be home at the usual time tonight.
Goodbye, dear. Please remember, don't stop anywhere. Go straight to the palace.
Will he be all right now, Dr. Samuel?
I think the splint on his leg will hold until he gets home. But remember, no running or trotting for at least 2 months. You have to give the leg a chance to sit. Can't work a lame horse and expect him to get well.
Yes, sir, I'll remember.
The way some people treat animals. I tell you, it's so easy to forget that a horse is just like...
What's the matter, Dr. Samuel?
Forget. I said forget, didn't I? Quick, boy, what time is it?
It's almost noon, Dr. Samuel.
Noon? I completely forgot. I'll have to run. But remember, boy, do just as I told you. He'll be all right.
But, Dr. Samuel, wait. Dr. Samuel, sir, you've forgotten your hat.
morning, Your Majesty.
Morning? Did you say morning? I was just about to have my lunch.
I know I'm late, sire, but you see, I was held up. There was a horse with a lame foot.
If it's not a horse, it's a goat. And if it's not a goat, it's something else. Are you the court physician, or are you general overseer of accidents of animals?
I'm sorry, sire.
Oh, well, never mind. You cure everyone else, but who's to cure you? It's just lucky there was someone else here to help me when my gout started to act up this morning.
Someone else, sire?
There I was suffering agonies with that bumbling Dr. Amos fussing about, and you know where to be found. And then this complete stranger walked in through the palace gates and did what no one else could do. Stop the pain just like that. Mars. Almost as good as you yourself. Samuel, I want you to meet the man who saved my life this morning.
His Majesty enthrones me with kindness.
I want you to meet Nabal from the lands beyond the mountains. Nabal, my court physician, Samuel.
Why, you a physician yourself, sire?
I am more than a physician. I am what men call a sorcerer. A physician only heals the sick, but I am acquainted with the skills which can unhinge the mind and deliver blight to the enemies of my friends.
All I know is he stopped my gout from paining just like that, Samuel. Wonderful.
For gout, I usually use a heated solution of vegetable herbs and water to relieve pain. Is your remedy based on the same ingredients, Nabal?
My remedies remain my own private property, physician. Does a gladiator disclose his methods to his competitor?
Competitor? But who is competing? We're no competitors, you and I.
Your Majesty, I cannot help but agree with this physician. If he would rather treat horses than kings...
But I didn't say that I'd rather treat horses.
Gentlemen, what are we arguing for? After all, my gout is all right now, and that's the main thing, isn't it? Besides, it's time for lunch. Samuel, what are you staring at? Aren't you coming to dine with us?
He was staring at me, Your Excellency. I fear your physician has mistaken me for a horse.
I'm not hungry at the moment, sire. I beg you excuse me today. I have a slight headache.
Samuel, is that you? I've been waiting all afternoon. Well, tell me, what did the king say when he found you there on time for a change this morning? I'll wager he probably got...
Anna, I stopped to heal a lame horse this morning. I was late again.
Late again. Oh, Samuel, you promised.
I know, Anna, but the horse was lame. He was in pain. Someone had to do something. Anyway, as it turned out, the king didn't need me this morning after all.
Didn't need you? What is it, Samuel?
Well, there was a stranger in the court this morning, a man from the lands beyond the mountains. His name is Nabal, calls himself a sorcerer. The king seemed very taken with him.
But what's this stranger got to do with you? I don't understand.
We were together all afternoon, and he kept amusing the king with feats of magic, but all the time he kept watching me with a peculiar light in his eyes. Of course, the whole thing is preposterous, but yet I kept feeling that Nabal was measuring me. He was trying to discover my weaknesses, Anna, and what reason would he have for doing that? Unless
what, Samuel?
Unless he intended to do me harm of some kind. As soon as I said it, I knew it was absurd. I, Samuel, had no enemies. I'd never acted with malice toward any citizen. Why should an absolute stranger come to me with hate? What reason could there be for him to wish me injury? I decided I'd only been imagining things. It was all a fantasy. No one was in a more secure position, after all, than I. And yet, very soon afterwards, peculiar things began happening.
Well, Samuel, is this your idea of a joke?
A joke, sire?
Don't pretend you don't know anything about it. I asked you for liniment for a sore ankle, and when I put it on, what happens? It almost burns my foot off. If Nabal hadn't been around to help me, I might have been up all night with the pain.
But, Your Excellency...
If Your Majesty permits, may I have a look at the bottle of liniment? Sire, this is liniment, all right, but not for royal feet. It's horse liniment.
But that can't be true. I'm sure I didn't mix the medicines. All my bottles are labeled.
I don't want to hear any excuses, Samuel. I've told you 1,000 times you're hired to treat me, not anyone else.
But, sire, I swear this is not my bottle.
Samuel, are you adding falsehood and negligence? Let us be an end to it. And in the future, remember, be more careful. And I'm expecting my Prime Minister. Both of you can consider yourselves excused.
As Your Excellency wishes. Coming, Samuel?
Wait a minute. Where do you think you're going?
What's the matter, God? Don't you recognize me? I'm Dr. Samuel.
Oh, Dr. Samuel, please excuse me, sir. We got new orders last night to increase the guard. The king's in a terrible temper. Says there's a conspiracy to do away with him. Wants all visitors searched. Won't go out of the throne room.
Conspiracy? But who?
Don't ask me, sir. All I know is the captain of the guard was called in this morning. The king gave him strict orders. It all started with a dream the king had, and then, when he learned what it meant, he got in a terrible rage. Seems there's a stranger the king has living in the palace that can read dreams and...
You mean the one called Nabal?
That's the name, sir. He's the one. But say, how'd you know?
A pretty sight, isn't it, Samuel?
Mayor Joshua, but what are you doing? I didn't expect to find you here.
Why not? Isn't it a mayor's duty to inspect all new buildings that go up in his city? So that's what a gallows looks like. I thought they were bigger. Tell me, Samuel, who's to be hanged?
I don't know, Joshua. No one seems to know.
You used to be close to the king, Samuel. What's happened lately? I can't even get in to see him. Me, the mayor, whom he appointed himself. And the new taxes he's levied. All day long, citizens have come crying to me. You know yourself, Samuel, they can't pay what the proclamations demand. This business of insulting the foreign ambassadors. We've always had friendly relations with other countries. There's been no need for border guards before. Now this gallows. Here in a city where no one even knew what a gallows looked like. What's it all about, Samuel? What's happened to the king?
I don't know, Joshua, but I'm going to try to find out. Please excuse me, I've already delayed too long. I have to talk to someone right now.
Come in. Well, Samuel, I've been expecting you. Can I get you some wine?
Nothing, thank you.
How do you like my quarters here, Samuel? Nothing too fancy, but then I'm not finished with it yet.
Nabal, I want to ask...
Don't tell me, Samuel. Let me guess. You're very concerned about the way things are going. You think these new measures which the king has ordered are too strict. You think I'm behind it all. You're going to ask me to do something about it, and you're even prepared, if necessary, to use such words as justice and honor. Am I right?
What do you want here, Nabal?
What? Oh, nothing, Samuel. I came all this way across the mountains just to be a teller of fortunes. What do you think I want? I have lived long enough to learn that the world is a cave, Samuel, in which one has to claw one's way to the higher places. Anybody who denies it is either a fool or a saint, or suffering from the disease of compassion.
This kingdom has managed to flourish, Nabal, in spite of the prevalence of this so-called disease.
Flourish? You call this flourishing? Look at the forests all uncut. Look at the natural wealth that no one bothers about. The ore, the gold, the silver in the mountains. Look at the markets for goods that no one takes the trouble to develop. And the lands beyond the sea and the mountains full of 1,000 riches to be gotten for the asking, and no one seems to care. The people are ignorant, uneducated. They'd rather sit in the sun than work at increasing production. What kind of a flourishing country is it where people would just as soon give something away as sell it? Look at yourself. Position to the emperor, and yet what do you care about more than your job? A lame horse. You're as bad as everyone else here. Flourishing? Ha! I advise you to wait a while. You will see such flourishing as you have never dreamed of.
Nabal, I think we'd better not talk anymore. I'm going to the king.
To the king? Good. As a matter of fact, the king's been looking for you all day. He told me to bring you to him.
Nabal, if this is another one of your maneuvers...
Come along, Samuel. We can't keep the king waiting. Your Majesty, here is the physician. He came to see me, but I haven't told him.
Told me what? Sire, I don't understand.
Silence, Samuel. What do you think should be done, Nabal? Perhaps if he were confronted with the facts, sire. Listen, physician. I've had a very bad dream recently. It was very mysterious, full of strange terrors, and I was at a loss until Nabal explained it to me. It seems the dream was really about you.
About me, sire?
It seems you're plotting to poison me one of these fine days. It seems that being court physician doesn't satisfy you. It seems that all these mistakes you've been making lately with the wrong medicines turning up have just been a pretense to furnish an excuse for what might accidentally happen.
But, Your Majesty, this is unbelievable. You know how faithful I have been for 7 years. When your son was sick, I brought him to life again. Why should I want to do such a thing?
I told you he denied it, sire.
I do not forget the saving of a life, Samuel. That is why I've decided to decree only the sentence of exile.
Exile? I beg you, listen to me, Your Majesty. All this is the doing of Nabal, who only wants himself. What you accuse me of wanting. Before he came here, there was peace in the court and quiet in the city. I ask you to remember, have you ever known rebellion in all the years it has been my pleasure to serve Your Majesty? Has anyone ever talked of poisons? Only since Nabal came. Only since he's been able to spread suspicion in the court.
Exactly as I predicted, sire. He blames it all on me.
Of course, what he says is true, Nabal. Because of him, my son is alive. And it was only after your coming that all these things have come to pass.
I swear, Your Majesty, these accusations are lies.
Your Majesty, I can prove to you that I am right. Samuel accuses me of his own crime. Very well, what is that crime? An attempt to poison Your Majesty. Then the matter is clear. Let there be a contest between Samuel and myself with Your Majesty as judge. We will see who is victor. And since the crime is based on an attempt to poison Your Highness, I propose a contest of poisons, in which he who survives will receive the honor of ministering to Your Royal Highness King Naaman. We will discover whether I am protecting the king or not.
A poison contest?
No, this is outrageous. I can never consent to such a thing.
Why not, Samuel? You accuse me of lying, do you not? And if you're right, the God you pray to should protect you. You talk of justice. Very well. Your justice should reveal the guilty one, should it not? What is there amiss?
I'm being forced into this. It is a crime against myself to engage in such a thing. I cannot. I refuse.
Samuel, no one forces you into anything. I am the king here. But as king, I must decree that if you fail to engage in such a contest, I shall have to assume admission of guilt, and then I shall have no other choice but to carry out the original sentence of exile. This seems to me to be fair.
But listen, Your Majesty.
What's the matter, Samuel? Isn't justice on your side, after all? Or perhaps you want to make a clean breast of it before you go.
What were you going to say, physician?
Your Majesty, I'm left no recourse. I shall have to consent.
Now, are the rules clear? Both of you will present yourselves here each morning to drink from the other's cup. Then you will be free to attempt your own antidote. If both of you are successful, you will meet here again the following morning. Any questions?
Sire, I have something to say to Nabal before we begin.
What is it? Changing your mind?
I don't understand the manner of man you are, Nabal, or why you've caused all this to occur. That is something for you to know. But to me, you are still a man. I cannot use a life as forfeit. I have always been a physician, a healer of lives. Therefore, I wish to announce that I have prepared no poison. In my wine glass, there is only water.
Is that all?
I have said what must be said.
What is it, Nabal? Why are you laughing?
This fool thinks that I'm dunce enough to fall for such speeches. What does he take me for? One of his horses? In my wine glass there is only water. The water of the devil, he means. But don't worry, Your Majesty, he won't catch me with any such childish ruses.
But, Nabal, it's true. There's only water in this glass.
Your Majesty, let the contest begin. I am ready. Here is my cup.
Are you ready, Samuel?
Sire, Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right. Raise cups in the air. At the count of 3, touch cups and drink. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Finished, Samuel?
Yes, sire.
Nabal?
Your Majesty, I must be allowed to leave immediately to prepare my antidote. This poison is of a special kind.
Very well. You are both dismissed until tomorrow morning. But remember, I expect you to be here promptly.
Samuel, How do you feel?
I feel fine, Anna. Why shouldn't I feel fine?
No ill effects?
Anna, there's no reason at all to worry. Believe me, there isn't.
Oh, I know. Samuel, you're the best chemist in the kingdom. There's no reason to worry. Samuel, here, where my finger marks the place on this page, I want you to read.
But I don't understand, Anna. Why?
Please, Samuel, just read.
He that followeth after righteousness findeth life.
Read it once more.
He that followeth after righteousness findeth life.
I'm not really worried, Samuel. I'm not really worried at all.
All right, gentlemen, raise glasses. 1, 2, 3.
Mabel, are you all right? You look pale.
Never mind about me, physician. Look to yourself. Your luck will run out soon.
Are you sure you're all right, Mabel?
I'd better get him a chair, sire.
Stay away from me. Don't come near me. You think you're pretty clever. With these poisons of yours, I'll show you.
But it's only water.
Only water. Wait until you drink the water. I'm going to prepare for tomorrow. Wait.
Mabel, you smashed the wine glass. Why?
But I drank the poison, didn't I, sire? He can't kill me, can he? All his devil poisons. I took the worst of them. I'm still here. Still here.
Mabel, watch yourself. You almost fell just then.
For 21 days the drinking went on. I could hardly believe it. My wife is a witness. All that Nabal ever had to drink was water in a wine glass. Yet this was the way it was. He became weaker and weaker. His face turned deathly pale. He even refused to eat any food, saying it was poison. And then finally, one day...
Samuel, sit down.
But where is Nabal, Your Majesty?
There will be no more contest, Samuel. The contest is over. Last night, Nabal called me in and made a complete confession. He pleaded with me to have you give him the antidote for your poison.
Your Majesty, there never was any poison in my wine glass. All that I ever put in was water. And if Nabal is poison, then the poison comes from the same place as its antidote must. And I think I begin to understand where. Once Nabal told me the world is a cave, and I disbelieved him. But I was wrong. The shape of the world is formed within the borders of the separate heart. If Nabal is sick, then the sickness has come from a cave, from an absence of light and ventilation, from expecting darkness because one lives in darkness.
Go on, Samuel. I'm listening.
Sire, let me help Nabal discover his antidote. I said the shape of the world is formed within the borders of the heart, but all worlds constantly touch. I am in contact with Your Majesty, who is in contact with someone else. The chain is endless. And this is what I think, Your Majesty, that no link is ever immune. As long as one man's heart is a cave, everyone lives in shadow. If I can help Nabal, the image in his own heart may change. It has to change. For that is the antidote, sire. Don't you see? That is the antidote.
Come. We haven't too much time.
Come? But where?
To Nabal. Where else? You think a king's eyes cannot finally open? Come, it is late already.
I could go on, of course, and tell you how we sat by Nabal's bed, how we first had to drink ourselves before he would drink anything, and how little by little we let the light in. But there is no need. Although it happened long ago in a kingdom beyond the farthest line of parallel, it has happened many times before and many times after. And it happens today. There are some things which do not change. Turn to the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, the 21st verse. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honor. And so it is. So it is. If
you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take pleasure in presenting Mr. Samuel Rothstein, President of the United Synagogue of America. Mr. Rothstein.
The theme of the script to which we have just listened is summed up in the words from the book of Proverbs. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honor. The lesson which Samuel the physician teaches us in today's story can be taken to heart by men of all faiths and in all stations of life throughout the entire world. It should be impressed upon governments as well as men. There may be some who question whether those who practice justice and honesty and kindness in their daily lives are rewarded for such attributes with prosperity and honor as the proverb indicates. The true meaning of the story and of the proverb is not to reward them with material things. They receive their reward by having peace of mind and heart and love of life itself. Or to paraphrase what Samuel said to King Naaman, the kind of world we live in depends on the act of the heart of its inhabitants. How wonderful it would be if men of all faiths and creeds and in all lands, especially the leaders of the nations of the world, would take this lesson to heart and live righteous, merciful, and honorable lives. This verse also sums up the philosophy of the truly religious person. It is in itself a program for living that each of us must sooner or later heed. Although religious and lay leaders of the organized religions are dedicated to the ideals of righteousness and mercy in their dealings with their fellow men, their efforts should be directed towards constantly reminding the men and women of their folds that righteous living must be the goal towards which mankind must aspire. If we live that kind of life, it will not only bring peace of heart and mind to the individual, but it will also bring freedom and peace to the entire world. Surely, no more important message can be delivered in this day and in this age.
Thank you, Mr. Rothstein. Eternal Light drama today, The Physician and the Sorcerer, was written by Alan Marcus. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Cadens. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction, and featured as Samuel was Roger DeKoven. The production was under the direction of Frank Papp. Free time to present the Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This program came to you from Radio City in New York. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, Gandhi, was written by Morton Wishengrad and was adapted from the book Great Soul by Harriman Maurer. This program is in observance of Brotherhood Week. Featured as Gandhi is Leon Janney.
Into a world lighted by truth, fed by it, kept alive by it, but yet ignorant of it, there came a man who sought truth, felt it, and declared it. His name was Mohandas Gandhi.
Truth is of God, and it is God. It is that which all men see in part without any seeing fully, which all seek without any knowing fully why they seek it.
In a world where the strong hurt the weak, this man fought back with truth. He put himself last, hence he found himself first. He wished to be humble, hence he became great. He had the strength of water, which as it seeks a low place, wears away rock and soil and cannot be stopped. But they didn't know that, and so they tried to stop him.
Mohandas Gandhi, is there something you wish to say before I pronounce the sentence of this court?
What is my crime, Your Honor?
We hold you guilty of promoting disaffection.
I admit my guilt, but I hold it to be a virtue, to be disaffected toward a government which in its totality has done more harm to India than any previous system.
Mohandas Gandhi, it is my duty to sentence you to 6 years' imprisonment.
They were foolish men. Can you put into darkness that which shines even where there is no light? He lay there in Yaravda prison, sick, shadowed by a wall, separated from his people, and yet all India felt his presence. And so his jailer, being unable to confine his spirit, released his frail, scrawny body. It was 20 years ago, and in India there were tens of millions of men and women who were neither of the high caste, nor the middle caste, nor even of the lower caste. These were the millions of outcasts who were declared untouchable and doomed from the moment of birth to the moment of death by the inflexible stamp of untouchability, and no hope of release, and little hope of rebellion. Yet there was one hope. From all over India, the untouchables sought out Gandhi.
Madam, can you tell me, please, is this the road to the Mahatma?
Keep away. Keep your distance.
I keep my distance. Is this the road?
Keep your distance, untouchable one. Panchama.
I have walked across India to see him. I keep my distance. Where will I find him?
In the field there is a house of mud, the color of saffron. In the house you will find Mahatma Gandhi. But he will not see you. You are untouchable.
Then you do not know him. Because you call me untouchable, therefore he will see me.
Is there? Is there someone here to see me?
Yes, Mr. Gandhi, but he will come tomorrow when you have had another day of rest.
Who is he?
My name is Rama.
Come closer.
I have come a great distance.
For what purpose, Rama?
I hardly know. I come from a city in the south, a place called Vikram. I am untouchable.
Rama, what is your occupation?
I am a cleaner of roads.
And when you have cleaned the road, are you permitted to walk upon it?
I am not permitted. I am untouchable.
Are you permitted to enter the house of worship?
It is forbidden. I am untouchable.
Rama, do you have a wife?
Yes. She is 6 months with child. Perhaps that is why I came. Better my child should be born dead than to be born untouchable. To be degraded as I am degraded. Mr. Gandhi, come with me to Vikram. We need you there.
I have just been released from prison.
In 3 months, my son will be born into his prison.
I have been ill. There is no strength left.
We need you, Mr. Gandhi.
I will come when I am well.
We need you now.
I have my own need now. My need is to rest, to find my strength.
You have turned us away.
You dare not say that. You must have been told that I am sick.
I was told something else. A man said to me, Mahatma Gandhi is not one to love 10,000 people 10,000 miles away. He loves his neighbor.
Wait here for 2 days. After 2 days, I will go with you to Wickham.
Mr. Gandhi.
Colonel, this is an unexpected pleasure. It had not occurred to me that I would be met in Wickham by one of His Majesty's officials.
Mr. Gandhi, is there some place where we could withdraw for a moment?
I am sure there must be, Colonel, but why withdraw?
I have a matter to discuss with you, a matter of some importance.
Yes?
I should prefer a more private place than a railroad station.
I am very comfortable here. You have something to tell me?
Mr. Gandhi, you are not wanted in Wickham.
I am not, Colonel.
No. I regret to inform you that your presence here in Wickham is deeply resented.
By whom?
By the better classes.
The richer classes?
The same thing, Mr. Gandhi.
No, Colonel, but we shan't enter into debate. I am rather tired.
Forgive me. I shall call on you another time.
Do so, Colonel.
Thank you. Or perhaps Mr. Sadhu will call. He's a rather important figure in this community. Yes, I think you may expect a call from Mr. Sadhu.
Rama, that will be our friend, Mr. Sadhu.
Then I shall go.
On the contrary, Rama, you must stay. Kindly open the door for Mr. Sadhu.
Very well. I will not mind to go away.
But I will mind, Rama. Let Mr. Sadhu in. Will you please come in, sir? I have been expecting you.
I cannot enter this room.
Why not, sir?
That creature by your side.
You mean this man?
He is Panchama, untouchable.
His name is Rama. You two should know one another. He cleans your finest highway.
Mr. Gandhi, if you came to my house, I would not insult you.
Mr. Sadhu, you have come to what is my house. Why do you insult my friend?
Must you be reminded that you are a Hindu? He is untouchable.
If untouchability is a necessary part of Hinduism, I am not a Hindu. What do you want with me, Mr. Sadhu?
Send that man away and I will tell you.
Rama stays with me.
Very well. Mr. Gandhi, you are a visitor here. I must remember to be hospitable. I come to you with a gift of hospitality from the better castes of Wickham.
What kind of a gift, Mr. Sadhu?
A gift of rubies and pearls.
See, Rama, they worry about you. They worry enough to wish to bribe me.
My dear Mr. Gandhi, this is insupportable.
Is it, Mr. Sadhu? Then give your rubies and your pearls to my friend Rama. There are men and women in India who need bread. You and I have no right to anything until the millions of India are fed and clothed.
I will not be harangued by a vile demagogue.
Then go away, Mr. Sadhu. I do not keep you.
Mr. Gandhi, I've come to warn you.
Then warn me and go away.
Have no fear, Mr. Gandhi. Custom is custom. No one like you will set custom aside. The custom of untouchability remains.
No, Mr. Sadhu.
I say it remains.
No, Mr. Sadhu. Tomorrow, my friend Rama will walk on the public highway.
I warn him not to do so.
Thank you. Tomorrow, my friend Rama, the untouchable, will walk on a public highway of India. You may tell that to your friends, Mr. Sadhu. Put down your sticks. There will be no fighting.
Mr. Gandhi, we must fight back.
No?
I am a woman like other women. I may not dress as other women do. I may not enter the house of worship with them. I have no privilege except pain and suffering. It was so for my mother and my grandmother. Not for me. I fight.
Not with sticks, not with clubs, not with your fists.
Mahatma Gandhi, what other way is there?
No force, no violence. We shall fight evil with the power of truth. No other way.
But if we go upon the highway, Mr. Gandhi, if we even show ourselves...
Yes, Rama?
They will come with their police.
Let them come, Rama.
And not resist.
And not resist.
They will strike with their clubs.
Accept their blows.
Mr. Gandhi, we are human beings. Who receives a blow must return a blow.
We are fighting for the truth that all men are brothers. All men. Relatives and strangers, countrymen and foreigners, white and colored, Hindus, Muslims, Parsis, Christians, Jews. For this truth you dare not shed blood. I propose that you disobey the regulations which degrade you and pronounce you untouchable. I ask you to violate those laws deliberately, but not with hate in your hearts.
What shall we do?
Tomorrow you shall go upon the public highway. Whatever the consequence of your going, you will not raise your hand. You will not protect yourself against the club. You will resist only with the great truth that you are human and capable of love. I will go with you tomorrow.
I warn you that every agitator will be summarily dealt with. The government will countenance no disorder. In the name of the government, I ask you all to return to your homes.
He is talking good sense. Go home.
I go home by means of the public highway.
For the last time, go home.
Mr. Sadhu, if you will step to one side, I wish to place my foot upon the public highway.
Mr. Gandhi, if this man...
Yes, Mr. Sadhu, Rama is a man.
If this untouchable sets foot on the highway, I shall strike him down.
He will not strike you back, Mr. Sadhu. Come, Rama. Let us both walk upon the highway.
Untouchable, where are you going?
Upon the public highway of the city of Zika.
Go no further. This is as far as you go.
I shall go the entire length of it.
You are a courageous man, Mr. Sadhu, to strike someone who will not strike you back. Now strike me.
Go back where you came from, Mr. Gandhi. Take your scum with you.
Rama, are you ready to walk further?
I am, Mr. Gandhi.
Then come. We walk.
Hit me again, Mr. Sadhu, because I take another step. Again, Mr. Sadhu, I take a fourth step.
Mr. Gandhi, he uses a club. Allow us to fight back.
We are fighting back. We fight without violence. Rama, my good friend, do you still have courage to fight with truth?
Yes, Mr. Gandhi, I will...
Rama!
Mr. Sadhu, you and the club in your hand have won a great victory. Someone, help me with Rama. He is bleeding.
He has lost much blood, Mr. Gandhi.
Rama, can you hear me?
Yes. And I have a question, Mr. Gandhi. What is the good of submission?
I see no other way, Rama. Until now, the world has been governed by hatred. We shall try another way.
Oh, Mr. Gandhi, they come against us with clubs and sticks.
Therefore, love them. Real beauty consists in doing good against evil. You are untouchable, so they say. Now you must show them what you truly are.
Mr. Gandhi, my head throts. I am afraid. Mr. Gandhi, what am I to do?
The public highway, Rama. You must go again tomorrow.
I am not a hero. The thought of pain makes me... Yes, I will go again.
We will all go, Rama.
But Ruchama, you are afraid too, are you not?
I am a coward.
Then why do you volunteer?
I would be ashamed not to.
Of all the human virtues, love and mercy and justice are the greatest. But I swear to you that without courage there can be neither love nor mercy nor justice. Ruchama, if they beat you, will you run away?
I shall try not to.
And you will not raise your hand against them?
I shall try not to, Mr. Gandhi.
I insist, Ruchama. You are not to raise your hand.
Very well. I promise you I shall not raise my hand.
And you, Rama?
It will be hard, but I promise.
The rest of you, do you promise?
We promise, Mr. Gandhi.
Then I ask you to pray with me.
Let us all go to the temple.
No. Pray here in this room. God is not encased in a safe to be approached through a little hole bored through the heavy door. God is here and everywhere. He is open. He can be approached through millions of openings. Pray.
Lead us, Mr. Gandhi.
God of the universe, truth is in all men, making them one, and not in a few of them, making them separate. To do hurt to any man is to do hurt to oneself, for to injure him is to injure truth in him, and thus to hurt the whole world. God of the universe, bless us. We are frail and lustful and steeped in sin. But tomorrow we shall try to conquer evil not by doing violence to others, but by taking violence upon ourselves. Oh God, give us courage.
I call upon this assembly to disperse and return to your homes. Mr. Gandhi, I order you to instruct this mob to refrain from any violation of the law.
What is the law, Mr. Sadhu?
You know the law. Mr. Gandhi, you may enter upon the public highway, but the untouchables with you are forbidden.
And if they choose to ignore the law because it is a wicked law and an immoral law?
They will be imprisoned.
Rama, will you answer Mr. Sadhu?
Mr. Sadhu, I am ready for imprisonment.
Do not be so ready. Your wife will be imprisoned.
She is ready for imprisonment.
Your brothers and sisters, your children.
They are ready for imprisonment.
Mr. Gandhi, you are gambling with the lives of all these people.
No, Mr. Sadhu. I am gambling that truth is active and alive in the world of men. The untouchables of the city of Wickham are gambling with truth.
Constable, are you ready?
I am, Mr. Sadhu.
Constable, I am untouchable. Look, I enter now upon the public road.
I place you under arrest. I place you under arrest. I place you under arrest.
People, do not push. Be patient. Await your turn and step forward on the highway. There is no need to push. You will all be arrested.
Come now, Gandhi, isn't this whole thing getting to be a little ridiculous?
In what way, Colonel?
Well, for one thing, well, it's ridiculous. Every untouchable in Wickham can't go and get himself arrested.
Why not, Colonel?
Because there aren't enough blooming prisons in all of India, that's why, now.
May I suggest a simple solution?
Yes?
Don't arrest them, Colonel.
It's out of the question. Law is law.
As you please, continue arresting them.
Look here, Mr. Gandhi. They'll be arrested, and they'll be flogged. Some of them may die. Now, what's the use of letting anything like that happen? What's the use, eh?
Colonel, what is the use of imprisoning men and women who are anxious to be imprisoned? What is the use of flogging a man who is ready to be flogged? What is the use of killing a man who is ready to die?
Gandhi, I don't know whether you're a hypocrite or a saint. My wager is that you're a hypocrite.
This happened in the city of Wickham 20 years ago. The untouchables of Wickham walked upon the highway and were imprisoned. Great numbers were imprisoned until there was no space left, whereupon new measures were taken.
Captain, you will station your police constables along the road. Barricade each entrance to the road.
And Gandhi answered in his own way.
I ask the untouchables to stand day and night in front of the police. Plead with them. Pray for them. Day and night.
Here now. How long can you beggars stay here?
For as long as you block the way to the public road.
Now, you're all reasonable people. 6 months are a long time to stand. 6 whole months. 180 days. Now, please go home.
Mr. Gandhi, I would like a little talk with you.
It was the triumph of Mohandas Gandhi, the triumph of non-violence. For more than a year, the untouchables had stood and prayed. More than a year of days and nights, of hot sun and floods, of hunger and thirst. The condemned, the degraded, the untouchable.
All right, Mr. Gandhi. We cannot stand it any longer. Say to them, tell them that the highways are open to everyone.
Into a world lighted by truth, fed by it, kept alive by it, but yet ignorant of it, there came a man who sought truth and declared it. This man whom people called Mahatma, the great soul. In a world of oppression and killings, Gandhi lived truth. In a world where the strong hurt the weak, he fought back with truth. In a world where men boasted their goodness, he hid himself in truth. In a world where men are in bondage, he found freedom in truth. He so put his touch upon the people of India and the people of Britain that India became free. In the year 1948, an assassin brought out a pistol and fired 3 bullets into the frail body of a man named Gandhi. And Gandhi's hands came together in a gesture of greeting. And as he fell, he said softly, "Oh God, oh God."
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take pleasure in presenting Dr. Ernest Cadman Caldwell, President of the University of Chicago and Chairman of the National Conference of Christians and Jews Brotherhood Week in Chicago. Speaking from Chicago, Dr. Caldwell.
The great religions of America share with Gandhi the belief that there are no outcasts. Protestants, Catholics, and Jews worship a God whose concern for man is not limited to any class, nor bounded by any frontier. Among the services which religion can render to this democracy of ours, none surpasses this: to fight prejudice and suspicion, and to support the sense of unity in our common membership in the fraternity of man. It is therefore appropriate, on a program devoted to Gandhi, to call attention to the celebration of the week of George Washington's birthday as Brotherhood Week, a program sponsored by the National Conference of Christians and Jews to win the support of more and more Americans in its struggle against prejudices. Our prejudices weaken us in every aspect of our life. Prejudices are inefficient in production, for they kill teamwork. Prejudices arrest skills and talent, for they stop individual development. Prejudices destroy group morale, for they kill the spirit. In the last 2 decades, we have witnessed a nation which let a man mentally sick with prejudices organize followers without hindrance. Hitler's anti-Christianism and anti-Semitism destroyed the industrial life of both organized labor and management, the banks, the factories, and the farms, the laws, the religion, and the morality of a whole country. This week, the National Conference of Christians and Jews is asking Americans to enlist against prejudice. Its program is an engineering job in human relations. It hires research scientists to get more facts, teachers to guide more children and parents, writers of materials for churches and synagogues, program engineers and field workers for the civic organizations which 100 million Americans join, and social scientists and personnel experts to work with labor and management on intergroup relations. The entire program is concentrated on the construction of better human relations. Brotherhood Week is the beginning of a year-round program, for brotherhood is a skill which must be learned and practiced 365 days a year. Whether you are Catholic or Protestant, whether you are Jew or Christian, resolve today that you will learn the lesson and practice the skill of brotherhood.
Thank you, Dr. Colwell. Our Eternal Light drama today, Gandhi, was written by Morton Wishengrad and adapted from the book Great Soul by Harriman Maurer and was presented in observance of Brotherhood Week. The music was composed and conducted by Morris Mamorsky. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured as Gandhi was Leon Janney, and Alexander Scorby was the narrator. The production was under the direction of Frank Papp. Free time to present the Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, Lizzie and the Whiskers, was written by Morton Wishengrad and is dedicated to the current Red Cross campaign.
When the wind blew in from the East River, the tenements seemed to huddle together for warmth and protection. The year was 1877, and the street was a slum in New York's East Side. The pattern was already fixed. Bedclothes airing in the windows, the sound of a tuberculous cough, a dark hallway, and a sour smell of garbage. Streets spilling over with dray horses, carts, sidewalk merchants, and the clamor of children at play.
Hey, Mom, throw me down a piece of pizza!
The streets were the playground of the children, but not the playground of Lizzie Highland. Lizzie did not venture outdoors. She pressed her nose to the window and watched the children at play.
You still at that window?
Yes, Ma.
Why don't you go out and play, same as all the other children?
I'd like it here, Ma.
You're in the way. I got to clean the house.
I'll help you.
I don't need help to clean 3 rooms. Go on out and get some fresh air. Lizzie Highland, I'm talking to you.
I'll play in here.
I'm your mother. Do as I say. Now, what are you crying about? Somebody'd think I was taking a strap to you. Go on out in the street and jump rope.
I'll jump rope here.
There ain't no fresh air in here.
I'll open a window.
Lizzie, you can't go through life being scared of the other kids. Don't cry. I said don't cry.
Don't yell at me,
I'm
Mama.
not yelling at you, you little fool. I'm yelling at myself. It's my fault. You don't have to go outside. You can jump up here to old man Shirley yells from downstairs. Wipe your nose.
Wild Bill Hickok, needle and thread. Had a fight, shot a man dead. Man had a brother named McCall. Shot Wild Bill, and that was all.
Where'd you learn that from?
Nobody.
You mean you made it up?
It was in Pa's newspaper. I mean, the story of how it happened.
You're a funny kid. What else did you make up?
President Rutherford Hayes grew a beard in 28 days. You want to hear another jumping poem?
I guess I got it whether I want it or not.
Boss Billy Tweed skipped out of jail. They put him back without any bail.
Lizzie, why should a girl as nice as you and as good in school as you be ashamed in front of other kids? Lizzie, why?
Don't talk about it, Mom.
I'll make you another wide pocket in your skirt, wider than the last one. You can hold your hand there. Nobody will see.
They pull my hand out.
I'll make you nice cotton gloves. You can wear gloves all the time.
They don't have to wear gloves.
Baby, you can't curse yourself all through your life.
Please let me jump rope.
You couldn't help it. You were born that way.
I'm not blaming you.
I can't bear to see you spend your life in this dark house. It ain't natural. It ain't normal.
No, Ma, but neither am I.
Lizzie, stop punishing yourself.
The year was 1877. A dark year for a little girl named Lizzie Highland. A little girl who kept her right hand hidden in a pocket in her skirt, who wore her skirts long so that they concealed her feet. She pressed her nose to a tenement window and saw the world outside and saw no place for herself in it. It was a sickness, not in her hand, nor in the feet she hid with her long skirt. The sickness was in her soul. School was a place of terror. There was no ease for Lizzie Highland there, no safety.
Girls, it's time for sewing now. Everyone, please. Your work in your left hand, needles in your right hand. Raise needles high. Lizzie Highland.
Yes, ma'am?
Your needle in your right hand.
I hold it in my left hand.
Are you left-handed?
No, ma'am.
Then you'll sew in the normal way with your right hand. Your right hand, Lizzie. Hold it high.
Please, ma'am. I don't feel good.
Grammar, Lizzie. Watch your grammar.
Please, ma'am. I don't feel well.
Very well, Lizzie. You may sit in your seat and rest for the balance of the sewing lesson.
Little things, all of them. But each hour added its own crisis to Lizzie Highland. A small human being with no defenses against the daily bruises of life. Her body seemed always ready to recoil from aggression, and the fright rarely left her face, a face which seldom contained the flush of color. They tried to be kind. They were good people.
Your compositions are excellent, Lizzie. Keep up the good work.
She knew they were trying to be kind, but only made it worse. The worst time was always after school. When she'd gone home with the other children, she fled before them as before a terror.
Hey, Lizzie, wait for me! Hello, Tommy. Lizzie, after school, the kids are going down to the park on First Avenue. You can come. I don't know if I can. We're going to go to the horse fountain. Gonna take our shoes off and go wading. We're gonna... What's the matter? You said that on purpose. What you talking about? Nobody's going wading. Said that about taking shoes off on purpose. Why don't you let me alone? You must be crazy. It's a joke. It's a wonderful joke. Now say, come on, Lizzie, let's shake hands. Or come on, Lizzie. How much is 5 and 6? Count it on your fingers. All right, here's my hand. Here are my fingers. Go on, count them. Go on. I didn't mean anything. I swear I didn't. Don't shiver like that. Lizzie, don't shiver like that.
Hey, kid, quit bothering the girl.
I'm not bothering her.
You sick, little girl?
I feel cold.
Where do you live? I'll take you home.
It's on my block. I'll show you where.
Come on, then. Something the matter with your foot?
My foot?
It's dragging. Just a minute, little girl. You don't have to walk. Come on, I'll carry you home.
Mrs. Schulte gave me an egg. Now, just watch this, Lizzie. Egg beaten up in a glass of milk. She says it'll make you feel real good.
That's bad grammar, Ma.
Well, just so long as it's a good egg. What happened in school today?
Nothing.
I was just asking. If you don't want to talk, it's all right. Stop twitching like that. It makes me nervous. Stop that twitching.
I can't help it.
Then go in another room. Get out of the kitchen.
All right, Ma.
And pick up your feet. You don't have to drag your foot like that.
I'm not dragging my foot.
I tell you, you're dragging your foot. Pick it up. Walk like a young lady. Stop twitching. You're twitching and fidgeting all over.
I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm scared. Ma, help me make it stop.
No, she couldn't make it stop. It was as though the muscles of her body had suddenly gone crazy. There was only one thing to do. On the east side of New York, then, even as now, when calamity befell the poor, there was Bellevue, the hospital. In the year 1877, a boy named Tommy ran for help. The wonderful horses of the Bellevue ambulance wagon sped down First Avenue, and the wagon carried the frail young body of Lizzie Highland, frail and twitching, as though her muscles had gone crazy.
You're the mother of the little girl just brought into the ward?
Yes, Doctor.
Oh, you needn't get up. Please, sit down.
Yes, Doctor. Thank you. My name is Mrs. Highland.
Now, you'll be able to come and visit her on Sunday.
Yes, Doctor.
If there's anything you'd like to bring, soup or something she's especially fond of, it'll be all right.
Yes, Doctor.
You're frightened, aren't you?
Yes, I'm frightened. What is it?
Well, I'm not quite sure.
My husband's a workman. Is it expensive here?
Mrs. Highland, this is Bellevue. It doesn't cost anything.
You'll help her?
If we can.
Then it's bad.
I think it's something called St. Vitus dance. Doctors call it chorea. That's the medical name. Maybe someday doctors will know more about it.
Well, work ain't so steady now for my husband, but you go and get the biggest doctor for Lizzie. Somehow we'll pay him.
I told you, Mrs. Highland, there's no pay.
I want the biggest for Lizzie, the biggest there is.
Mrs. Highland, that would be Dr. Jacoby. And he's on the ward in the morning. Dr. Abraham Jacoby.
It was a Bellevue story. Almost from the year 1658, the first year of one of America's oldest hospitals, there always seemed to be a doctor whose name was pronounced with a special inflection of respect. And in the last quarter of the 19th century, a political refugee from Germany had come to New York. A short man, slight, with a massive head and hair that curled like the mane of a lion. He was a medical genius, a genius with an instinct for children. The man who, in the next century, would be called the father of American pediatrics. But Lizzie Highland's mother could not know this. And so the next morning she had to come to make sure, to see for herself.
Yes, I'm ready for the next patient.
I'm not a nurse. I'm Mrs. Highland.
This formality is unnecessary. Just tell them I'm ready for the next patient.
But you don't know who I...
Madam, must you talk so much? Please tell them that...
Dr. Jacoby. There's a little girl outside in the ward. Her name is Lizzie Highland. She has...
Well, come name it. I'm busy this morning.
St. Vitus dance.
Your diagnosis?
No, the doctor who examined her when they brought her in.
Take me to her, nurse.
I'm not a nurse. I'm Lizzie's mother.
We don't stand on ceremony, madam. Bellevue is mighty short-handed these days. Let's take a look at the girl.
His name was Abraham Jacoby, doctor. A little man, but nevertheless a giant. His voice could be brusque, his manner testy, but the hands he placed on the convulsive limbs of Lizzie Highland were inquiring and gentle.
Good morning, Lizzie. How do you feel?
She wasn't able to tell him. The words were locked in her throat.
Don't be frightened. You're safe here.
She wanted to believe him. She wanted to feel safe, somewhere. His voice was gentle with her. It was a surprise, because his lion's mane and his whiskers made him look ferocious.
If you look at my whiskers like that, I'm going to have to shave them off. I'm fond of my whiskers.
Lizzie Highland smiled. For the first time, Lizzie smiled.
You know something, child? The moment you smile, your face stopped twitching. Makes you feel better to smile, doesn't it?
Yes.
Do you think if I made you laugh, your arms and legs might stop jerking for a few seconds?
Maybe.
You're a very cooperative patient. Now, you try to relax as best you can. I'm just going to touch you with my hands. Are you cold?
No.
I thought you might be. You're sleeping in your shoes.
I didn't let them take my shoes. No one's going to take my shoes off. No one.
Of course not. Well, suppose we count your pulse. May I have your hand, Lizzie?
No. I don't want you to.
I merely want to count your pulse.
It's a lie.
Yes, sometimes it catches in the throat. Don't try to talk. You can keep your shoes on all you like. And I don't have to count your pulse. It's not terribly important. Mrs. Highland, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Jacoby.
You've got a fine girl.
Yes, Doctor.
I'm sure she'd like some clothes from home. Now, come outside with me. I'll tell you what you can bring her. Follow me, Mrs. Highland. Mrs. Highland, we can do very little about St. Vitus dance. We administer arsenic and hope. Mostly hope. That's because we know very little about the disease itself. Just that it happens to young children around Lizzie's age.
I can't bear to see it that way, her face twisted like that.
Then you've got to help me.
Anything, Doctor.
Mrs. Highland, why did Lizzie refuse to let me count her pulse?
On account of her hand.
Yes?
She was born with 6 fingers on her right hand.
So. And why does she insist on wearing her shoes?
She's got extra toes on each foot. Lizzie's a freak.
That's absurd. Things like that happen.
It was because I was frightened just before she was born. The midwife told me so.
No, Mrs. Highland, that's superstition. Lizzie has suffered a good deal, hasn't she?
Well, we've had to move from place to place. Sometimes she comes home from school not saying anything. But inside she's screaming. God help her and God help me, but when I see her like that, it makes me want to kill myself.
You're a good mother.
I don't know nothing.
You know a good deal. You know enough to love her.
I ain't helped you.
You're wrong, Mrs. Highland. You have helped. You'll see.
He was a doctor. He treated the hurt where the hurt was deepest. And if the hurt and the wound lay deep in a little girl's soul, he had to treat the soul of Lizzie Highland.
Good morning, Lizzie.
Hello?
Not much to look at, is she?
No.
Just a poor, beat-up doll. Tell you a secret, that's the way I like them. I can't stand a doll that's got no cracks in her. Now take Miriam. Miriam has lived herself a full life. She's got character.
What do you want, Dr. Jacoby?
Nothing, Lizzie.
What did you come for?
To pass the time.
Why?
I just told you. I like dolls with cracks in them. I'll leave Miriam. I hope you like her, Lizzie.
Dr. Jacoby, may I speak to you a moment?
What is it, nurse?
That Highland girl.
Lizzie, what about her?
The girl has to be bathed. She won't let us touch her. She allows no one but her mother to bathe her.
Well, then leave it to her mother.
But the rules of the ward
The rules of the ward are for the patient to get well.
She won't even let me touch her.
Then I suggest that you don't touch her. That you don't even try, nurse.
Yes, Doctor.
Anything else?
No, Doctor.
Pretty angry, aren't you?
Yes, I am, Dr. Jacoby. Wouldn't you be?
Possibly. I'll speak to Lizzie myself. I brought you an apple.
She told you.
Mighty fine apple.
I won't let you touch me either.
Come from a farm way uptown in Harlan. I brought one for myself. That's what I call a luscious-looking apple.
Why don't you eat it then?
Can't.
Toothache?
Delicacy.
You're making fun of me.
I can't eat an apple alone. I'll eat mine if you eat yours.
You came here because the nurse said... Why can't you eat your apple?
Self-consciousness, madam. Listen. Makes me self-conscious. Now, if you bite into your apple, I can eat mine without feeling silly. Take a bite, Lizzie.
What do you want from me?
You're too young for suspicion, Lizzie. Eat your apple.
Yes, Doctor.
With a lion's head and ferocious whiskers, and a young girl with twitching limbs eating their apples. A small incident in a Bellevue ward 3/4 of a century ago. He was a strange doctor. He brought her gifts: a doll with a chipped face, an apple, a book, a flower. He was a patient man. The doctors in the ward raised their eyebrows.
You haven't examined Lizzie, Dr. Jacoby?
Plenty of time, Doctor.
Forgive me, sir, but...
What in heaven's name am I doing?
Yes, sir.
I'm playing court.
What, sir?
I'm asking for Lizzie's hand. You can't rush such things nowadays. It's 1877. Times have changed. Have patience. I have patience. I'll see Lizzie tomorrow. Your face is dirty.
Your face is dirty, too.
That's because of the whiskers. Very handsome, don't you think?
No.
You'll change your mind. Wait till you know me better. Isn't it good to laugh?
Yes, it is.
Since I've come to America, I always laugh.
Didn't you laugh?
In Germany? I'll tell you a secret. They threw me into prison in Germany.
You must have insulted someone.
Naturally. I insulted the Kaiser. I said America was better. America, I said. Kein König dort. No king in America. 3 years in prison.
That's why you didn't laugh.
That's why. But in America, I laugh. Look, outside. That's New York City. And New York City is just a small part of New York State, which is only a small part of the United States of America. And a small citizen named Lizzie Highland is needed by the United States. Frightened people don't make good citizens.
I try not to be frightened.
You hide from the other children, don't you?
Mama's told you.
Yes, but she didn't have to tell me. I knew.
She told you about my...
Yes.
I'm unnatural.
No one is unnatural.
I'm a monster.
Your eyes are gray. Your face is very pale. And your chin has a little cleft in it. I'd hardly call that monstrous.
You want me to show you my hand?
No, Lizzie. I don't want it.
Then... I want to show you my hand. Because I want it.
Thank you, Lizzie.
It's this one. What do you think?
I think it won't be any trouble at all. Why are your eyes shut, Lizzie? Are you still afraid?
I was making up a jumping poem.
What's a jumping poem?
I jump rope to it. Dr. Jacoby, his old Whiskers won't frighten me. What do you think?
You really want to know?
Yes.
I think I'll ask you to take your shoes off.
As operations go, it was not at all spectacular. A visiting doctor who came to witness the already famous Dr. Abraham Jacoby in action was quite disappointed.
Sure. That's a very minor operation.
You think so, sir?
For heaven's sake, what was it?
Major surgery.
Preposterous. All Dr. Jacoby did was to...
Operate on the soul of a human being.
Excuse me, Doctor, that's nonsense. You can't operate on the human soul. There's no such thing. Never happened.
It happened now. And we both saw it. And I think because it happened now, it's going to happen again in the future. We saw a man named Jacoby remove a stone from a child's heart. Perhaps we saw something pretty wonderful in American medicine.
Her name was Lizzie Highland. They had brought her to Bellevue in a horse-drawn ambulance. A little girl with convulsive limbs and a pale face and frightened eyes. Now she was ready to go home by herself. Her limbs controlled, her cheeks no longer pale, her eyes no longer frightened.
You're leaving me, Lizzie.
Yes, sir.
And what will you do for me?
I will shake your hand.
Very good. Where are you going, Lizzie?
Home.
Fine. Where's home?
New York City, in the state of New York, in the United States of America.
And you're a part of it all, Lizzie. Don't forget that. Now, give me a kiss on my scratchy old whiskers and run along. I've got work.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. Eternal Light drama today, Lizzie and the Whiskers, was written by Morton Wishengrad.
The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Cadams. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured as Lizzie was Joan Laser, Norman Rose was the narrator, and Peter Capell was Dr. Jacoby. The production was under the direction of Frank Papp. The 1949 Red Cross campaign is now underway. Remember the Red Cross and give generously. You can help through your Red Cross. Free time to present the Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, The Case of Ivar Haug, was written by Morton Wishengrad.
Harlem, New York City. The time, January 1944, 6 months before D-Day. The place, a saloon.
What did you say, buddy?
I said that Adolf Hitler is a very great man.
Uh-huh. And, what else did you say?
I said that I, Ivar Haug, I approve what he's doing to the Jews. What do you say?
You really want to know?
What do you say? This! Let go of that chair! Put that chair!
Sergeant, his name is Ivar Haug. Says he's a seaman. I arrested him for creating a public disturbance.
Haug, what do you want?
You heard what the officer said. Sure. You want to deny it?
No!
Pretty arrogant, aren't you?
Why not?
What's your address?
You got my draft card. It's written down.
What's your address?
The Olympia Hotel.
That's not the address written on your draft card.
Isn't it?
Are you an American citizen?
I am a citizen of Norway.
Yeah.
And I am a member of the Nazi party of Vidkun Quisling.
I didn't ask that information.
No, Sergeant. I tell it to you free of charge. Any more questions?
For me, Haug? No. I think the next question you'll hear will be asked by the FBI.
Haug, you'll correct me if I'm in error. Our investigation shows that you sailed to America as a member of the crew of an Allied ship which exploded in the Gulf of Mexico. Is that correct?
It is correct.
What was the cause of the explosion?
It is a mystery. Nobody knows.
Haug, where did that explosion take place?
In the engine room.
Where on board the ship did you work?
In the engine room?
Haug, is it true that when you were picked up, you stated to one of your rescuers, "Good, one less ship for the Allies"?
I am a member of the party of Quisling. I have taken an oath of allegiance to Adolf Hitler.
And you don't deny you sent that?
I don't deny.
Before I go any further, I want to remind you that you're not required to make any statement. But anything you say may be used against you.
Thank you.
Haug, why don't you have a draft classification card?
I am not going to fight against Hitler. Go ahead, write it down.
What is your address?
Lots of places. Hotels, rooming houses. All over.
You gave the Selective Service Board an address at 25 South Street.
Sure. At the Siemens Institute. I pick up mail there.
I see. Your local Selective Service Board sent you a questionnaire care of the Siemens Institute.
I never got it.
If you had gotten it, would you have filled it out, returned it?
The FBI asks a lot of questions.
All right, Haug. We're moving you.
Where to?
The Federal House of Detention.
What for?
You'll find out in the United States District Court.
He was blonde, blue-eyed, arrogant. Almost the perfect stereotype of the Hollywood Nazi. On March 17, 1944, Ivar Haug was charged with evasion of the Selective Service Act and taken before federal judge Simon Rifkind.
Ivar Haug, you have a lawyer?
No.
Have you any money to hire a lawyer?
No.
In that case, the court will appoint a lawyer for you.
Okay. But I want a Nazi lawyer.
This court doesn't know any Nazi lawyers. Court will give you 1 week to find one. Turn the prisoner to the Federal House of Detention. Ivar Haug.
That's me.
1 week ago, you declared that you wanted a Nazi lawyer.
That's right.
Have you found one?
No.
In that case, the court will appoint a lawyer for you.
Judge Rifkind.
What is it?
Not a Jew lawyer. I don't want a Jew lawyer.
The court doesn't know any Jew lawyers, or Protestant lawyers, or Catholic lawyers. The court knows only good lawyers and bad lawyers. I will try to appoint a good lawyer for you. Will the clerk of the court please inform Mr. Jacob J. Rosenblum that I should like to speak with him?
Your Honor, there are 14 lawyers present in the courtroom. Why does the court call me?
Because, Mr. Rosenblum, you were a United States attorney under George Z. Medallion and chief assistant under District Attorney Thomas E. Dewey. I told the defendant I would see that he had a good lawyer. Will you volunteer?
No, Your Honor. I refuse to volunteer. I won't willingly defend a self-admitted Nazi.
In that case, Mr. Rosenblum, the court directs that you act as counsel for Ivar Haug.
May I make a statement to the court?
You may, sir.
In view of the defendant's expressed desire for a Nazi lawyer, and one not of the Jewish faith, I want him to know that my name is Jacob J. Rosenblum, that my name does not belie my religion, and that I am the president of a synagogue. But since I have been directed by the court to serve as his counsel, I promise that I shall do everything in my power to protect his legal interests. Your Honor, in order to prepare the case for trial, I request an adjournment.
Adjournment granted.
The United States of America versus Ivar Haug. There is a sentence in the Talmud. By 3 things is the world preserved: by truth, by justice, and by peace. In March 1944, there was no peace, but there was truth. And truth always serves the end of justice.
Haug, I want you to give me all the facts.
What for? I am a Nazi, and your name is Rosenblum.
We'll talk about that some other time. The government charges you with willful and deliberate violation of the Selective Service Act.
How much are you going to charge me?
You couldn't pay me to defend you. I wouldn't touch your money with a 10-foot pole.
It's nothing but a trick.
Trying to control myself. I want nothing better than...
Go ahead and try it.
Don't tempt me, Haug. Now, look, there's something I want you to know. All my time and services are free. The time and the services of my two partners, William Francis Corson, Edwin F.S. Sipp. Mr. Corson's a Protestant. Mr. Silk is a Catholic. I'm a Jew. The three of us are going to defend you because we're Americans. Maybe you can't understand that. Maybe I don't give a tinker's damn whether you do or not. Now, you'd better keep a civil tongue in your head and start giving me the facts.
Hey, Shlomo Rabbo min Shemayo b'chaim oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amein. Oseh shalom b'imramov hu yaseh shalom. Oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amein.
Amen. Before anyone leaves, I'd like to urge you all to be present tomorrow at 8:30 so that we can have a minyan for morning prayers.
All right, Rosenblum, I want to talk to you a minute.
Oh, sure, Joe.
It's about that man you're defending.
What about him?
Do you have to defend him?
I'm a lawyer.
You're a human being.
Joe, a lawyer takes an oath. He has a duty.
You've got a duty to yourself.
Let's talk about it some other time.
I've been saving it up. I want to talk now. Take Levine and Coopersmith. They've already lost 2 boys in the war. They come every day to say the Kaddish in a synagogue whose president spends his time defending a Nazi.
That's putting it unfairly, Joe.
I'll put it better. I've got a sister and a brother. They used to live in Poland. Rosenblum, tell me where they live now. Tell me if they're dead or alive. Tell me to shut up and to start saying the Kaddish for them.
Joe, I'm a lawyer. A duty.
I'll tell you your duty. Go out and give more blood to the Red Cross. Fight the enemy. Don't help him.
Look, you're not telling me anything I don't know. You're not telling me anything my wife doesn't tell me or that I don't tell myself.
Then go to that Nazi you're defending, that accomplice of murderers. Smash his face in.
Joe, I'm going to see that he gets justice.
The kind of justice he gave my brother and sister in Poland?
No. The kind of justice that you and I believe in.
That's sentimental, Bunk. He's your enemy.
That's why, Joe. There's no merit in seeing that your friend receives justice. The merit is to see that your enemy receives justice.
I'll write it down on a postcard and mail it out for New Year's. Repeat it slowly. I want to make sure I don't miss a word.
I don't have to repeat it, Joe. It's in the Bible and in the Bill of Rights. In the name of God, Joe, do you think it's easy?
Are you Mr. Rosenblum?
That's right, miss.
I brought the registration of the man you asked about. Here it is.
Oh, may I see it, please?
Of course. Excuse me for asking, but are you the man who worked with Tom Dewey during the rackets investigation in New York?
I guess I am. Why?
Well, it's none of my business, but what are you doing helping somebody
I know to be a Nazi.
That's right, Mr. Rosenblum.
Well, he's been indicted for willfully and deliberately violating the Selective Service law. Admittedly, he's a Nazi. There's not much good. Now, regardless of how many laws he may have violated, I don't think he violated this law.
What's the difference?
The difference is between Abraham Lincoln and Adolf Hitler. Miss, I want you to spell the name that's signed on this registration.
I-V-A-R-H-A... I can't make out that third letter. These foreign handwritings are tough.
This Selective Service Board sent official documents to this man. What name was used?
Well, let's see. We sent the questionnaire to Ivar Haug.
To whom, miss?
Ivar Haug. H-A-N-G.
And where did you send that mail?
To the address given here. The Siemens Institute, 25 South Street. Is it important?
Yes. Tomorrow the case goes before another judge, the trial judge. I rather think he'll find it important.
in the case of the United States of America versus Ivar Haug.
Members of the jury, this is an indictment in 2 counts against Ivar Haug. First, for failing to keep his Selective Service Board advised at all times of an address where mail could reach him. And second, for unlawfully and knowingly failing and neglecting to fill out, complete, and return the Selective Service questionnaire. Does counsel wish to interrogate the jury?
I do, Your Honor. I wish to say to the jury that under our law, persons are tried. Not Protestants, not Catholics, not Jews, not whites, not Negroes, but persons. Does the jury understand that? Yes, sir. My name is Jacob J. Rosenblum. It happens that the name of the government prosecutor is K. Bertram Friedman. Mr. Friedman and I ask you please keep our names out of the picture. No prejudice, no bias. I am an assigned lawyer, joined voluntarily by my associates. We are trying to discharge our duty. If Ivar Haug is guilty, we want you to say it because the facts say it. If he is not guilty, we want you to say that the government has failed to establish his guilt. Ivar Haug, a person, is on trial. Let us not do here what they do over there. Is the jury agreed on that? Yes. Your Honor, no challenge. The jury is acceptable to the defendant. The government's attorney?
The jury is satisfactory to the government. I want to add to the statement of defense counsel. My name happens to be Friedman. I'm attached to the office of United States Attorney John F. X. McGoey. Names and religion are not important in this courtroom. We are agreed the defendant is to be given a fair trial, that he is to be prosecuted on the evidence and nothing else. The government is ready, Your Honor.
On the limestone hills of Dover and in the 100 Channel ports, the armies of America were poised for the fateful blow against Adolf Hitler. In the Southern District of New York, the government of the United States began its case against one of Adolf Hitler's loyal followers. On the second day of the trial, counsel for the defense introduced as a witness the mail clerk of the Siemens Institute, who, being duly sworn, testified as follows.
What is your official position?
Well, I work in the United States Post Office at the Siemens Institute.
Now, as I understand it, the Siemens Institute is a mailing address for hundreds of transient seamen.
I'd say thousands and thousands.
When you receive a letter, what do you do with it?
We put it in the proper box.
Now, if a letter came addressed to someone called H-A-U-G, where would it go?
In the file under H-A-U. We have separate files for H-A-I, H-A-L, H-A-N, and so on.
Hmm? I show you a letter addressed to Ivar Hang, H-A-N-G. Would this letter go into a box in which you kept mail under H-A-U?
No, never.
And those files or boxes are looked over regularly?
At least every week.
And if a mistake is made, is it corrected?
Oh, yes, sir. A letter addressed to Ivar Hang could never go into the box of Ivar Haug.
Now, many of your seamen are foreigners.
They are.
They speak with decided accents.
Yes, sir.
Couldn't you be the one to make a mistake?
Oh, no, sir. We never go by the pronunciation of the name. We always have the seaman produce his seaman certificate. Every letter of the name must correspond, or else the man doesn't get his mail.
And so if Ivar Haug came and asked for his mail, and that mail had been erroneously addressed to Ivar Hang, then he couldn't get it?
Never in a million years.
Thank you. The defendant moves to dismiss Count 1 and Count 2 of the indictment on the ground that the government has failed to supply the proof required by law to sustain the allegation of willful and deliberate violation of the Selective Service Act.
Motion denied.
Exception?
Exception is noted.
The summation of defense counsel lasted for 3 hours. The presentation was meticulous, cogent, and impressive.
Ours is a government of laws and not of men. And our laws apply with equal effect and mercy to every person charged with the commission of a crime, regardless of his personal beliefs. Can the government prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Ivar Haug willfully and deliberately violated the Selective Service law? He did register. After that, it was up to the government to find him. I ask your honor to charge that it is a commonly accepted fact
that after one registers, the registrant waits to hear from his local board by a letter addressed to him and not to anyone else.
The court declines so to charge.
The jury interrupted its deliberations several times to return to the court with questions relating to the Selective Service Law. Finally, they returned a third time.
Mr. Foreman, have you agreed on a verdict?
Yes, sir, we have.
What is the verdict, please?
The jury finds the defendant guilty on both counts as charged in the indictment.
Your Honor? Yes, counsel. I make the usual motion to set the verdict aside. Denied.
Ivar Haug, is there anything you wish to say?
I want to appeal.
That is your right. Mr. Rosenblum.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant wishes to appeal. I heard him, Your Honor.
Will you continue to serve as his counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Under the law, he's entitled to an appeal.
He is, sir. But let someone else serve as his counsel. I promised Judge Rifkind I would do my best to protect him. I think you will agree that I have discharged my duty. I believe that the jury's verdict is wrong, but I have satisfied my conscience. I wash my hands of Ivar Haug. Hello?
Mr. Rosenblum, this is the Legal Aid Society. You handle the case of Ivar Haug.
Oh, that's right.
I'd like to compliment you on your presentation.
That's very kind of you.
Haug has written to us. Mr. Rosenblum, will you handle the appeal?
No. Ivar Haug is no longer my responsibility. For the next 3 years, he's going to sit in a federal prison and get 3 square meals a day, movies, books, occupational therapy. He'll read in the newspapers and hear over the radio how American soldiers are dying while he sits safely behind bars. I'm afraid I can't weep for him.
You won't reconsider?
No. And I can't think of anything to make me.
Mr. Rosenblum, this is the United States Court of Appeal. The appellate judge wishes to seal.
Sir, every instinct in me protests against defending Ivar Haug.
Mr. Rosenblum, I ask you again. Will you offer services?
I must respectfully decline, sir.
In that case, Mr. Rosenblum, the court directs you to serve.
But, Your Honor...
Yes, Mr. Rosenblum?
Nothing, sir. Since I've been directed by the court, I will do everything in my power for the appellant.
This is an American story. The story of 3 lawyers named Jacob J. Rosenblum, William Francis Corson, and Edwin F.X. Silk, a Catholic, a Protestant, and a Jew, who were joined to defend a Nazi whom they equally detested. Why? Because justice is an American duty. Had Ivar Haug been a hero of Valley Forge instead of the personification of Nazism, he could not have received a more powerful defense. The appeal was closely reasoned. It was reinforced by every argument of logic and legal precedent. No, there was no great relish for the task. A masterly brief was submitted to the United States Court of Appeals. And after due deliberation, the court answered.
Surely the defendant, Ivar Haug, was not among those who, by birth or adoption, can be said morally to owe allegiance to the United States, however he may have been enmeshed in the coils of its law. Judgment reversed.
Ivar Haug, what do you want?
The court has declared you free. But we don't want you here. You're not going to prison. You're being deported. Sent back to Norway on the first ship that will take you.
Observe now the inscrutable workings of justice. Had the conviction of Ivar Haug been sustained, a Nazi would have been taken to the warmth and the safety of the United States prison in Atlanta. But the Court of Appeals declared him free, and therefore an enemy of America, was returned to his native land. The final chapter in the case of Ivar Haug was written in the subway of New York. It chanced many months later that Jacob J. Rosenblum met United States Attorney K. Bertram Friedman.
I haven't seen you, Rosenblum, since I left the government service to enter private practice.
That's right. It's been a long time.
Got some information the other day that might interest you.
That's all.
Yes. Remember Ivar Haug?
I'll never forget him.
That's right, Rosenblum. You never will. I've just been informed that when Haug reached Norway, he was taken into custody.
As a quisling?
That's right. He was arrested as a betrayer of the Norwegian people. He was tried and found guilty. They hanged him.
All human justice is relative. Only the judgment of God is absolute. The case of Ivar Haug, a study in irony. Perhaps now at the Siemens Institute in New York, there is a letter waiting. A letter addressed to Ivar Hang.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to The Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. Our Eternal Light drama today, The Case of Ivar Haug, was written by Morton Wishengrad. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Cadams. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured as Ivar Haug was Leon Janney. Len Sterling was the narrator. Jacob J. Rosenblum was played by Louis Van Ruten. The production was under the direction of Frank Papp. Free time to present The Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, The Lot of Ester, was written by Peter Lyon.
Vayehi bimnei Achashverosh Hu Achashverosh Hamoleich mehodu v'yatku.
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus who reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces, that the wrath of the king was stirred against his queen Vashti, so that he put her away from him, that he should never see her again. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him,
Let there be fair young maidens sought for the king, and let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
Bishnas sholosh leimolacho osa mishter lechol sarov v'avodov.
Now in Shushan there was a man whose name was Mordecai, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity. And he brought up his uncle's daughter, who was called Esther, for she had neither father nor mother. And the maid was fair and beautiful. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto the palace, that the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the maidens, so that he set the royal crown upon her head, and made her queen instead of Vashti.
It's understood what you're to do.
It's clear enough.
To watch and listen. Softly speak and sweetly smile. Do just as you are bid. And so to make yourself the one most trusted of her court.
She knows who sends me to her service?
What could she know? She only knows that she's the queen and why. Who yesterday was dirt-bound, wretched in some stinking hut beyond the palace wall. What could she know, save what she sees? Her painted likeness, image in her frosted glass.
I've never seen her.
No?
Is she...
I'll let you judge her beauty, Fratigina, for yourself. Report to me on every 15th day.
But if there's nothing to report...
Come anyway. To tell the truth, I doubt there's anything to find. I doubt she's more than just a girl with glowing cheeks and smiling eyes. I doubt she's in our way. But still, I doubt.
Wait for me. Oh, Fratigina. Where are you bound? Where else but to the Queen? Then I'll go too. But, yes, you know the law. That none shall enter Esther's chamber save her king Ahasuerus and her maids in waiting. Oh, Lord. But, Fratigina, I'm teasing, dear. Come along. The truth is, I'm to join you in her service. You swear it's true? You swear by Ishtar? My gods are Greek. I swear by Zeus. I believe you, but what a fright you gave me. It's not 3 days since King Ahasuerus found a favorite beyond that door. She'd come to look on Esther. To satisfy herself, what beauty was it caught the fancy of the king? That's right. And he had her lips and nose and ears and tongue cut off. No, forget her. What I'd know is, has this Esther all the grace and beauty men ascribe to her? This way. We turn here.
Who goes?
Go back to sleep, soldier. We serve the Queen. Through here, and follow me, Fratigina. My question's here. She's in the garden. Through that archway. Look yourself. Come with me. Where? See? By the pool. Her hand in the water. Yes, you see? She's very fair. You'll see when you approach her. Her skin as soft as the rolling water of summer. Her body as light as a branch of olive. Her eyes are almonds, and her hair the color of the flaming sunset. She knows these things. How could she not? She is very fortunate. This, too, she knows.
And this was in the 7th year of the reign of the king Ahasuerus. And he lavished gifts upon his queen, Esther. And from his house there were 7 maidens to wait upon her.
Our gracious lady is happy? Oh, yes. The musician plays very well indeed. Gracious lady, surely there is more than the music to make you happy. Surely as well you rejoice because you are the most beautiful of all living women.
Oh, come, Fratergina.
And the queen and consort of the mightiest emperor in the world.
I am very fortunate.
Our gracious lady is modest. Too modest, dear. Come now, reflect upon it. She takes her modesty from a false source.
How do you mean, Fratergina?
Is it not true, gracious lady, that when you say you are fortunate, you are reflecting on how a few short months ago you were in poverty, living among the exiles outside the palace?
Yes.
But if you had reflected, surely you would have recognized that you must of necessity be of royal blood.
You talk in riddles, Fratergina.
Our king is witnessed by his choice that you are the fairest lady in the land.
Well,
Such beauty to be understood must be related to its source. Tia, you'll agree that beauty like our queen's argues her royal birth.
I've always known 'twas so. Oh, please. Your arrows, Mr. Mark, so wise.
Why, then?
It's true, milady.
I've always sworn you were born a princess of the blood. How else explain your divine features, the gentleness of your appearance?
But this is foolishness. My people...
Your people? But surely I recall our gracious lady telling us she had no father nor mother in the home where she was raised.
That's true enough.
And surely she has heard 20 times the tales of how at birth young princelings and their sisters were stolen from their cribs by enemies of their royal sires.
Certainly such accounts have been recorded.
How is it possible, think you, dear, that Our Lady could insist, against the evidence in her glass, that she is kin to poor and wretched folk who pine in thraldom, 300 miles from home?
The hand of the gods is here, gracious lady. They've contrived to give you a royal present and future, who have a royal past. It would be an intriguing story if it were true.
If, gracious lady.
But there are 16 years of memory that argue with you.
Tia, hand me Our Lady's mirror. You could call on the palace scribes, my lady. Set them to seeking out the truth. What royal family you were snatched away from and why. Satisfy yourself for once and all as to your real blood. Here, my lady. Take this. Look.
I know my fate.
Has my lady ever seen a slave could boast such purity of profile? Did she ever see a commoner with hair so fine and heavy that your neck gives with the burden? Is it possible you can look upon this likeness and then deny your birth was royal?
This talk upsets me strangely.
We are beckoning the memories of so long ago you have forgotten.
Make way for the king!
It is my lord. Tia, Fratergina, be gone and take the musician with you.
We leave, gracious lady. At your word, my lady.
Esther, you are here.
Here, my lord. You do me honor with your visit.
The merchant's caravan is here from the east. Spices, ivory, gold, and...
Oh, they're beautiful.
You see the lights deep inside them?
The color. What are they called?
Rubies. As red as the blood was spilled to get them, I'll wager.
Rubies.
They're yours. I'm giving them to my workmen to have them set in filigree. You'll wear them next month at the banquet.
My lord is too kind.
I'll show my princess what beauty is, eh? And how to dig it out.
Oh, my lord is in fine humor today.
Here, now, if you think to ask some favor, remember this day has already brought you 2 hands full of rubies.
Well,
What is it, then?
If I find favor in my lord's eyes, I would remind him he has promised long before this to escort me on a tour of his kingdom.
Esther, I told you before.
So long I am my lord's queen, and not to see the lands he holds in sway.
This must wait on...
Nor has my lord seen fit to note that I have dressed my hair today in the new fashion he spoke of.
Your hair is very wonderful to behold.
like an endless river through the meadows.
So we will travel through the kingdom.
There was a queen called Vashti who thought her woman's beauty was enough to twist me this way and that.
I ask my lord's pardon if I have sued too earnestly for what he promised.
I promised and I'll do it, but I'll say when. Come now, let me see your smile. That's better.
My lord is busy with the court's affairs.
I am, and that's why there'll be no tour for yet a while.
And the nature of the pressing business?
No concern of yours. Some plans have been made. I'll make 10,000 silver talents if all goes well.
May your gods look kindly on the venture.
My gods? Surely yours as well?
My lord?
Whence come you? Who are your kinfolk? Who your family and your people?
My ladies, just before you came, were telling me that I am royal-born.
To see your face, I'd credit that.
I never knew my father or my mother.
Hmm?
Perhaps you could inquire among your palace scribes to ask if they would search the records of the kingly families hereabouts to find if what my lady says is truth.
I'll see straightway to it.
My lord is leaving?
The business waits I told you of. I'll send for you as soon as I may.
My heart stands still till your return.
Tia? Strategina?
At your bidding, gracious lady.
Where's Tia?
She had some business which has taken her away, gracious lady. Can I serve you? She's such a gossip, Tia. Always knows exactly what's afoot around the palace. My lady is curious. Gossip never chooses where it goes. Perhaps the tale you seek has come to me. The king spoke of some big business in the court. He spoke of how he'll win 10,000 silver talents if his gods are good. Some big business? Not the feast that's planned? No. Oh, you guessed it? You give it far too much import, my lady. Yes, I think I know the business he'd in mind. So then? My lord the vizier to the king, Haman, has won the king's consent to have all Jews destroyed. Destroyed? And Haman's right. These folk have divers laws and worship not the Persian gods and stir up trouble with the people. It's true. They have but their one god. A stubborn people. They'll not perform devotions to any others. I'm Greek, but here am I in Persia, and so my gods are theirs, and that's the end of that. And so they'll all be killed? And 10,000 silver talents in the coffers of the king the day the work is done. That's Haman's promise. Oh? And Haman vows he'll give my king 10,000 silver talents if Haman is allowed to kill the Jews. But... And if it's true, what's this to me? To you? Why, then it's nothing, gracious lady. I've known some of these Jews. There were some lived near you, long ago. Near me, yes. My lady's tender heart should not be grieved by this decree. How soon will this be done? I understand the plan is all complete. The edict drawn and published all throughout the land to take effect in 2 months' time. 2 months' time. So if my lady mourns for those she knew in years gone by, well, then she can console herself. If just she will. Yes. Remember, she's a princess of the blood, for whom the present and the future only live, for whom there is no past, save that which may be searched and found by Ahasuerus' scribes. It's true that I've the present and the future. Yes. It's true my past is, yes. Not important now. A thing apart, shadowed past the hill of bygone days. Yes, my lady. So then some wretched poor are killed, and that's an end of it. The future is all that counts for me. Would my lady like me to sing for her? I'll fetch the harpist. Yes. Sing a gay song, Strategina. I'll be right back, my lady. And Strategina? Yes? Bring a scarf when you come back. The evening has grown cold.
And Mordecai, cousin to Esther, took a copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy the Jews, and gave it unto a messenger, and dispatched him to the palace, to seek an audience with the queen, Esther, as he might be able to. And the messenger disguised himself, and came unto Esther.
You come from whom?
Your cousin Mordecai, who gave me this paper to give to you.
You know that any found in my apartments is surely put to death?
The writing which I gave to you decrees the same for me in any case.
You are of the Jewish faith?
As are you.
Here I am queen, and therefore have no ties to any single folk.
No ties?
No ties. Save what I will shall happen in the years to come.
Your cousin Mordecai.
Nor am I sure that he is kin of mine. I had no father nor a mother. It's true he raised me from a child, but who's to know from whence I came?
None but yourself, and not a voice will speak except your conscience.
So here's this writing, the sense of which I knew already. And what then?
Your cousin Mordecai would have me ask you if you'll go and see the king. Beseech the king that he'll rescind this order. Use what influence you have with him to...
Yes?
If you know the sense of the decree, why then what Mordecai would have you do is plain enough.
Tell Mordecai for me. Tell him what he doesn't know. That none may seek to see the king except the king has bidden her to come. Except on peril of her life. You understand?
But...
If any seek to see the king and he has not invited them to come, why then as like as not he'll have them killed. Do you hear? I've seen it done with my own eyes. Tell him that.
Your queen.
And so was Vashti. But he cut her head off when she disobeyed his bidding.
Your cousin Mordecai was your father, and your mother sends to ask your help for all his people and all yours.
I do not recognize that they are mine. I recognize that mine is royal blood. That I am queen. And so propose to be for years to come.
So that your answer is one word. No.
The order has been issued. Nor is it my concern. If Mordecai would escape the sense of the decree, he can deny his birth.
I'll tell him what you said.
Yes, go on.
So then, disguised, he came and entered to her chamber.
Yes?
They spoke too low for me to hear what words they used, but...
What?
There's only my suspicion.
Say on.
He left with her a copy of the decree which you had published. It's my belief that she refused his suit, for when he left, his face was long and sad.
Why should he risk his life to visit her?
That's for conjecture. As is also...
What?
Whether he or one of his will try again.
You think they will?
If this time they have failed, what can they lose by trying once again?
Keep a ceaseless watch. And if first you see them try again, at once you fly to me. The rest, I'll manage.
And Mordecai, who was cousin to Esther, sent again a messenger and dispatched him to the palace to seek an audience with the queen. And once again the messenger disguised himself and came unto Esther.
You are mad to come a second time.
Your cousin Mordecai...
Besides the risk you run yourself, you put me in the gravest danger. Why should I not call out the guard? Have you hanged for your temerity?
As you will, Esther.
And now you would be familiar? Don't forget I'm queen.
To me, you're what I called to mind for years ago. A fair-haired girl who laughed and sported and danced in the sunlight of childhood. Who loved her kinfolk as herself and treasured all the things that we hold dear.
Kinfolk?
A child who grew to be a fair young girl. And learned with us the wisdom taught by Almighty God. That every man is kin to any other, and every man deserves the love of every other.
Now's no time for long talk.
And we who knew you and loved you shared your honors with you. For we recall the wisdom of our prophets that one man's joy and one man's sorrow, too, are shared by all his brothers.
I've had enough.
One word more, and then I'll go. And this I say out of sadness. Esther?
Yes?
You can deny us. Your way is easy. To take our part is to seek danger. To refuse is to ensure yourself the richest, brightest dream that any woman ever had. Queen, empress of the greatest land in all the world. But remember, when you refuse yourself as well. And you will die, although you think you shall be living.
And now you're done?
Yes. And now I'm discovered.
I warned you.
Goodbye.
Where is he? Here?
The man, dressed to appear a woman. He's just...
And here is how we deal with such...
No!
Man dressed as woman.
nor man enough to fight to defend himself.
Oh, Haman, you act so swiftly. One cut and here the interloper lies.
It's strange our queen put up no outcry when he came.
Well, you see,
You were just about to, Highness?
Yes, that's so. And I need not say how grateful I am that you were near to take command.
Ho there, guards! A body here to throw to the jackals. I judge this man met his end ahead of the date originally set.
What do you mean?
He's of the faith that serves one God, and now he's dead. As will happen to every last one in all of Persia before 2 months are up. Every one, Highness.
Haman, I commend you your dispatch in bringing succor to ourself. You may withdraw.
So quickly, Highness?
Our reward we'll grant before this week is out.
And has your servant won the right to nominate the reward closest to his heart? To see you soon again?
He has. And shows it in his eyes.
Gracious lady, you are both beautiful and wise.
Oh, Tia. Are you sure that none can listen?
There's no one in your harem but ourselves, Highness. And your lady Fratigina...
Fratigina, where is she? I fear her most of all.
Fear Fratigina? Highness...
Oh, Tia, can I trust you? Can I tell you what I'm thinking?
Highness, Why, of course you can.
Without you, I am alone. And even you... I put a question straight. But you must pause before you answer.
Highness, let me speak. I am a slave, your servant, who knows that if your king had not seen you...
You might be in my place.
I've spoke you fairer and more truly than any other of your ladies would.
I believe you. Tia.
Highness.
I must trust you. This edict of my king...
That Haman shall destroy the Jews and so pay in his coffers 20,000 silver talents.
It's 20, I heard 10. No matter. I go to seek my lord and tell him he must stop this slaughter.
Highness. But none may seek our swears. You know that, unless he bids them come.
I know. But I must go, regardless.
Then why?
Tia, you and Fratigina not so long ago.
Yes.
No, I'll ask you to speak but for yourself. Forget the part that Fratigina played. Why did you tell me that I was born of royal blood? Why did you contrive for me the past, the ties I had with all I love?
Highness.
Yes?
A maid in waiting speaks so and so and so to her queen.
Thank you, Tia.
I'll not ask pardon, Highness. But I must implore you, dismiss this notion that you'll go to our swears. No matter what your past, Highness, if you should fail, you will have no present and no future.
And this is what I've learned, my Tia, in the last hour. I can have no present and no future unless I hold my past in both my hungry arms and pray to God that he'll forgive the time I took to find it out.
But, Highness...
I am only what I was and cannot be without it. Bless me, Tia. I go to seek an audience with my lord.
And when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that Haman's wicked device, which he had devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that Haman should be hanged on the gallows, and that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. Our Eternal Light drama today, The Lot of Ester, was written by Peter Lyon. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Cadams. Kander David Putterman was the singer. Featured as Esther was Joan Loring, and Norman Rose was the narrator. The production was under the direction of Frank Patton. Free Time to Present the Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Saying, command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olives, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Magic Power, was adapted for radio by Sigmund Miller from a short story by a contemporary Israeli writer, Ari Ibn Zahav.
In the early 1880s, there lived a spirited boy in Jerusalem whom everyone pleased to call Yitzhakl. And if any of you suspect that little Yitzhakl grew up to become a famous man, you may guess again. Yitzhakl grew up to become just Mr. Yitzhak, nothing more nor less. When Yitzhakl reached the advanced age of 16, a certain Jacob wanted him as an apprentice to drive one of his stagecoaches that ran between Jaffa and Jerusalem. And he went to see Yitzhakel's 81-year-old father, Todrus.
Ah, Reb Todrus, you're looking younger than ever.
I am not looking younger than ever, Jacob, unless you want something.
I want something? I just came to pay my respects. You know, Reb Todrus, driving a stagecoach is a healthy job. All my drivers are healthy, happy people. They sing as they work. It wasn't so long ago that the only way to go from Jaffa to Jerusalem was on top of a donkey.
Your drivers are no better than donkeys.
Oh, that's not a proper thing to say.
It's not a proper thing to say, but I say it anyway. Maybe you don't know the story of the donkey who complained to the Lord of Heaven.
I know it.
They complained that the stagecoaches were driving them out of business and were making their souls leave their bodies from hunger.
I told you I
Fear not, said the Lord, I shall infuse your souls into the bodies of the stagecoach drivers.
That's just a silly story. My drivers are the happiest people in Jerusalem.
So they're happy. What do you want of me?
I'd like you to apprentice your son Yitzhakl to me as a driver.
What?
I have watched your boy. He loves horses. He loves the outdoors. He's someone who shouldn't be cooped up in some study room or shop.
Get out! Get out!
But it's a decent...
How dare you say that? A driver is the lowest, meanest of all trades. My son will grow up to be a person of some importance, not a lout like you or your drivers. Now get out of my house and never dare to speak to me again. Get out, get out, get out!
All right. I'm going, but wait and see. Yitzhakl was born to be a driver.
And get out and don't you ever dare speak to me again!
And that's why Reb Todrus didn't speak to Jacob, the owner of the stagecoaches. Reb Todrus went at once to apprentice Yitzhakal to a goldsmith, an honorable trade. Yitzhakal hated it. He had to spend the beautiful sunny hours of the day shut up in the basement shop. How he would have loved to drive a stagecoach, to make the horses do as he commanded them. To be a stagecoach driver was the most wonderful thing in the world. But every so often he would steal away to the stables.
Can I unhitch your horses, please? I can do it.
Go ahead. If you make a mistake, I'll cuff you one.
I won't make a mistake. What are the horses' names?
I just call him Reb and the other Ho-Ha.
Here I am, Reb. Your friend. It's me, Yitzhakal, your friend. Oh, that's good. That's fine. You're a fine beast.
You're doing all right. You have a way with the animals, but you have to know how to handle the passengers. They're even worse. The only thing wrong with you is that you're too gentle with the horses.
Horses love me. I don't have to be rough with them.
What is it, Samuel?
Well, I don't like to do this. I was a boy myself once. Ran away from the goldsmith I was apprenticed to.
Yitzhakal hasn't been coming to your shop?
Well, I wouldn't care, but we have a lot of gold to melt down, and I'm behind in my work.
I'll talk to Yitzhakal.
He's been running off to the stables where they keep the stagecoaches. Maybe he should have been a driver.
All right, Samuel. Thank you for coming. Yitzhakal!
Yes, Father?
Reb Samuel was here. He told me that you didn't come to work at all today. He said you spent your time in the stables with the horses. Is that true?
Yes, Father.
I tried to make a respectable man out of you, and no, you would be a piece of riffraff living in a stable.
Father, I don't want to be a goldsmith. I can't stand living in a dark shop bending over a furnace. I can't stand it. I want to be outdoors.
Look at him. He thinks he's a bird. You're going to be a goldsmith, Yitzhakal, even if I have to sit on the shop with you all day long. That foul Jacob with his stagecoaches, he's bewitched you. I want you to promise me that you won't run off from the shop ever again. Promise me.
I promise, Father.
Yitzhakal was an honorable boy, and though his heart broke into pieces, he did not run off to the stables during working hours. He tried very hard to be a good goldsmith, and the harder he tried, the worse he became. And then one day he came home in a panic.
Papa, Mama, I'm going blind. My eyes.
Blind?
What's the matter? What happened? I can't see well. Oh, my poor son, my poor boy.
Oh, what happened?
I worked over the furnace all day today, and when I went outside, everything became dim. I'm going to be blind.
Maybe something's in your eye.
Nothing's in my eye.
What should we do?
Stop it, Rachel. You're frightening Yitzhakal.
Our poor boy's going blind, and you stand there saying I'm frightening him? Do something, Todrus. Do something.
They took Yitzhakal to the Arabian wise man who was called the Doctor from Heaven. He collected a little vial of water made of 3 parts dewdrops and 1 part raindrops, and they washed Yitzhakal's eyes. But still his eyesight was dim. And then they took him to Lazar, the wizard, who gave him grasses and bitter herbs to eat, some of which was so sharp that it made tears run out of Yitzhakal's eyes. But still he could not see well. Finally, out of desperation, they took him to a real doctor. No one knew this real doctor's name. He came from Australia, and since he wore a sun helmet with a cloth in the back to protect his neck from the sun, he was called Dr. Schmatter, or Dr. Rag. Although Dr. Schmatter was poor and rarely had patients, nevertheless, he knew a thing or two.
Reb Todrus, you and your wife go outside. I want to examine the boy alone.
Now, look, but you already examined him.
Outside.
Never heard of such goings on.
Well, Yitzhakal, now you're alone.
What are you going to do now?
Nothing. We're just going to talk.
But my eyes...
Oh, they can wait. First, you tell me about yourself.
Yitzhakal spoke carefully. He didn't know whether Dr. Schmatter was really crazy, like everybody said, or whether he was really so friendly. Dr. Schmatter brought out 2 beautiful, shiny apples. He gave one to Yitzhakal and ate one himself. And soon Yitzhakal was telling him all his troubles. how he hated being apprenticed to a goldsmith, how he loved the outdoors and wanted desperately to be a coach driver. Dr. Schmatter listened very sympathetically, and when Yitzchakl finished the apples, he gave him nuts and raisins and honeyed fruit.
And your father will not let you become a stagecoach driver?
Oh, no. I don't even dare mention it to him. But what has this to do with my eyes?
I'll call your parents in.
All right, come inside.
Well, what's with Yitzchakl?
He's suffering from a serious ailment.
Really?
He needs a change of climate at once.
Really?
The sooner the better. As soon as you send him away, his sight will improve.
Really?
Do you know anyone in another town?
I have a sister in Safed.
Safed. Isn't that the town where there are 3 goldsmiths?
No, not even one. I've been there many times.
Safed is fine. It is an ideal climate for Yitzchakl. My advice is that you send him there at once. You'll be amazed how rapidly Yitzchakl will recover.
And so Yitzchakl came to Safed to live with his Aunt Brunner. And then a miracle happened. His eyesight was completely restored.
Well, Yitzchakl, how do you like living here with me?
You've been very good to me, Aunt Brenna.
Your father writes me that I should begin looking around and find you a wife.
A wife for me?
Well, of course. You're 17 years old and quite a man. And here in Safa there is a shortage of marriageable young men.
Well,
Now, I know a lovely young girl. She's the daughter of a rich man. You will get room and board for the rest of your life.
Who is she, Aunt Brenna?
Her name is Tamarala.
I know her. She's only 15, and besides, she's skinny.
She'll fatten up, and she'll positively grow out of being 15.
Well, maybe I should wait another year before...
Another year? You'll be 18, a hopeless bachelor. What? People will point you out on the street. They will say, there goes Yitzchakl, the man who is too embarrassed to find himself a bride.
I'm not embarrassed.
Well, then, is it because you think Tamarala is ugly?
She isn't ugly. She has a pretty face.
Good, good. I'll talk to Reb Baruch, Tamarala's father.
A few weeks later, with the approval by mail of Yitzchakl's father, the terms of the marriage were settled. Reb Baruch was elated, for there were few eligible young men in Safed, and even fewer young men as sturdy-looking and as handsome as Yitzchakl. Yitzchakl paid a formal visit to his prospective father-in-law.
Well, Yitzchakl, so you're going to take my daughter away from us, huh?
If Tamarala is willing.
Of course she's willing. She thinks you're very handsome.
Well, she's very nice looking, too. I mean, she's very pretty. Well, I don't mean to say that I'm pretty.
I know what you mean. Now, tell me, Yitzchakl, did you have a trade?
No, not exactly.
Were you ever apprenticed?
Yes, I worked for a goldsmith, but I didn't like it. I hated it.
I don't blame you. I used to work as a goldsmith, but I couldn't stand it either.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that way about
I changed over to a silversmith. That requires more skill, more talent.
A silversmith? Are you the Reb Baruch, the silversmith?
That's right.
Oh.
Tamarala is my only child, and when I retire, you can take over the whole business. It brings in a fine living, and since you have already had training as a goldsmith, it will be no time before you will be a fine silversmith. What's the matter, Yitzchakl? Aren't you feeling well?
I don't want to be a silversmith.
It's a fine, respectable profession.
I don't like it.
Well, what would you like to be?
I'd like to be a stagecoach driver.
That's not for well-brought-up boys. That's for the uneducated rough men. A boy like you can't be a coach driver. And besides, you can't make a decent living driving a coach. A good silversmith makes a fine living. Now, think it over, Yitzchakl. There's plenty of time.
Aunt Brenna, I don't want to marry Tamarala.
What are you talking about?
I've changed my mind. I don't want to marry anyone. I want to be a bachelor.
You can't do that. It's too late.
No, it isn't. I'm not married yet.
You've signed a contract. Only Reb Baruch and Tamarala can release you from the contract.
Then I'll talk to Reb Baruch.
He'll never let you go. Never.
I'll make him hate me. He'll be only too glad to get rid of me. You'll see.
Yitzchakl, what are you doing?
I'm smoking a Turkish nargila, as you can see.
It'll make you sick, and at least get away from the window so that you won't be seen. A boy of 17 should not be taking up such bad habits, and in full view of everyone.
Reb Baruch has already seen me. I want him to see how degenerate I am.
It's no use. Reb Baruch won't change his mind.
Yitzhak, what are you doing at my window?
I'm trying to peek in at my bride-to-be, Reb Baruch.
Oh, please go away from my window. You will shock the neighbors.
Who cares about neighbors?
Oh, it's very vulgar to try to stare at your bride-to-be. It's in very bad taste.
Bad taste, good taste, it's all the same. Who cares?
Oh, please, come away. At least stand by the other window where the neighbors can't see you.
It's getting dark. Let's hurry.
We're practically home tomorrow.
Ah, my two beauties.
Oh.
Walking alone at this hour. All alone.
Yitzhak, you almost scared me.
Did I?
I think you're rude.
Here, give me your hand, Tamarla. I'll take you home.
No. My friend and
I said I'll take you home, Tamarla.
All right, if you insist.
But what will the neighbors say?
They'll gossip, but who cares? Tell me, Yitzhak, how is your Aunt Brenna?
Yitzhak tried other desperate measures. He became friendly with the town drunk, and he wore European clothes, not the clothes of respectable people living in Palestine. But nothing could save him from his fate of marrying Tamarla and becoming a silversmith. Finally, he went to see Reb Baruch to ask him directly to release him from his contract.
Reb Baruch, Tamarla, your daughter, is really very beautiful, but I've been thinking it over. I won't make a good husband.
Oh, nonsense. I'm sure you will.
But I'm a restless fellow. I'm thinking of traveling to America. Perhaps I might even settle in China.
Oh, wherever you go, Tamarla will go too.
But I'm not reliable, Reb Baruch. To tell you the truth, I run after women. And I've got a terrible temper. I'd probably strike poor Tamarla when I'm angry.
Tamarla is so sweet you will never lose your temper. Stop worrying yourself, Yitzhak. In a year you will kiss my hand out of gratitude for giving you such a beautiful, sweet wife.
On the day of the wedding, Yitzhak had the appearance of a doomed man. He went through the ceremony only half alive. He was barely able to smash the glass cup under his heel. He had to stamp at it 3 times.
Hey, what are you sitting around for? Let's have something lively and gay.
Yitzhak lived with his father-in-law and became a dutiful husband. Every day he went to work in Reb Baruch's silversmith shop. He worked hard and rarely saw the sun during the day nor felt the soft breezes on his cheeks. He tried to forget the great outdoors with its lovely trees and meadows and birds. He tried to become a good silversmith.
Hey, Yitzhak, we should start on the silver candlesticks if we want to have them ready for the Sabbath. Reb Yitzhak. Reb Yitzhak, can't you hear me? Are you deaf?
Me? Were you talking to me?
There's nobody else here in the shop.
What?
I said there was nobody else here in the shop.
I can't hear you.
What are you shouting about?
I can't hear you. I'm getting deaf.
Huh?
I can't hear you. I can't hear.
Calm yourself. There's nothing to be frightened about. It's just wax in your ears.
I can't hear anything.
Come on. I'll take you to Avramchik the Wise. He'll fix you up.
There's no question about it. A demon has crawled into his eardrum.
What can we do to help poor Yitzhak?
Well, I've smeared his ear with honey, but the demon won't be tempted.
Yes?
I've fried hot camphor oil. Demons just can't abide camphor.
Yes?
But this demon is a very stubborn one. I'd have to try to frighten him out. Bim, 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 bim.
Oh, You scared me, anyway.
But nothing could help poor Yitzhakal. He remained deaf despite all the clever tricks of Abramchik the wise. Reb Baruch, frightened at the prospect of a deaf son-in-law, took him to Reb Israel the Magus. He, too, tried many recipes for curing deafness. He blew into his ear, then he tried pleading with the evil spirit, and finally he, too, tried to frighten the demon. But Yitzhakal remained deaf. He was taken to a real doctor who could not determine the cause of his deafness. Then, one bright day, Dr. Schmatte arrived from Jerusalem in a special coach dispatched by Yitzhakel's father.
Oh, Doctor, I'm so glad you came. Here is Reb Yitzhak. Come inside and examine him.
No, it's such a nice day, I think I'll take Yitzhakel for a ride. I can examine him later. Come on, Yitzhakel, step up.
He can't hear you.
Give him a hand. That's fine.
Don't you think perhaps, well, maybe you should examine him first?
Plenty of time for that. Get up. See you later. You can hear me if I speak into your ear, can't you?
Yes, Dr. Schmatte.
Bend toward me every time I speak. Good. So, you've gone and gotten yourself married, Red Yitzhak.
Yes, Dr. Schmatte.
A groom should be more enthusiastic. Perhaps your bride is too pretty, and you're worrying that someone will steal her away, eh?
She is very pretty, but...
Ah, then you found her out to be a simpleton. That's what's worrying you.
No, tomorrow is very bright.
I know why you're not a happy groom. You have too many responsibilities. Suddenly you're no longer a carefree youth, but a man with responsibilities. You must now work for a living and prepare for the future. What are you working at, Reb Yitzhak?
I'm apprentice to my father-in-law, a silversmith.
In my back pocket, you will find the bag of almonds. Oh, you're a silversmith. From a goldsmith to a silversmith, soon you'll be an expert on all the precious metals. Beautiful countryside around here, isn't it?
Oh, it's full of flowers now. The air is smooth like silk. Can I drive the coach, Dr. Schmatte?
Sure, take the reins. Let's go for a nice long ride.
Oh, that's fine. But what about the examination, my ears?
Don't worry about them. I've already examined them. Now let's get some speed out of these horses.
All right, Dr. Schmatte.
Aren't you going to examine him today, Dr. Schmatte?
I've already examined him, Reb Baruch.
You did?
Yes, Reb Yitzhak is suffering from a serious ailment.
What is the matter with him?
His senses are very delicate. He can't stand old, dank air. He must have fresh air all the time. Breezes are the best thing in the world for him.
I will keep the door open in the shop.
He'll have to stay out of the shop for at least 3 months. Otherwise, he'll become totally deaf. That's all I have to say, Reb Baruch. And I think it would be best if you didn't talk about the shop to him during his recuperation.
Dr. Schmatte was really a demon himself. Reb Yitzhak began to get his hearing back. For months, he kept away from the shop and spent most of his time outside. Then suddenly, he received the bad tidings that his father died.
Dear son, your father, may he rest in peace, left you an inheritance. During the past few months, he bought out Reb Jacob's coaches, 4 coaches and a stable. He did not want to tell you because he believed that you might quit the honorable trade of becoming a silversmith. Now, these coaches must be sold, so I think it would be best if you came to Jerusalem and sold them yourself. It should not take you more than a week or so. Please, come at once, because the drivers are robbing us of half the fares. Your loving mother.
Well, Mother, today I received an offer of 140 gold Napoleons for our stagecoaches.
That's the best offer yet. Take it, my son, and then you can go back to your wife and Safed.
Well, now if I sell the business, I'll just have 140 Napoleons.
So?
And soon I won't have that either. But Perhaps it would be best if I kept the business. And to save money, I could drive one of the coaches myself.
Yitzhak, you are still bewitched. That terrible Reb Jacob had a magic power. He once told your father that you would never be anything else but a coach driver.
Giddy up! Giddy up!
In all of Jerusalem, there was no better husband than Reb Yitzhak, and no one who had keener eyesight or sharper hearing than Reb Yitzhak, and perhaps no better human being than Reb Yitzhak. For in loving the Lord's creatures, he was doing the Lord's work.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take pleasure in presenting Mr. Louis M. Loeb, President of the Young Men's and Young Women's Hebrew Association, currently celebrating its 75th anniversary. Mr. Loeb.
It is an honor to appear on the Eternal Light program, which has long been a bright beacon of Jewish history and culture. As one vitally interested in the community center movement and its profound influence on our greatest heritage, the youth of America, I feel that today's story has a significant message. Yitzhakel's temporary blindness and deafness were, of course, what modern psychologists refer to as psychosomatic illness. But once he was allowed to drive his beloved coach and horses through the beautiful countryside, his symptoms immediately disappeared, and he became a happy, useful citizen. Just as psychology diagnoses the illness, sociology treats it. The wise doctor is effectively represented today by numbers of modern, well-equipped community centers, citadels of warm and understanding guidance, forges of friendship. Their diverse character-building programs and facilities for social contacts, physical recreation, as well as for the development of talents and hobbies, are genuinely constructive steps in the creation of healthy, well-integrated citizens, in contrast to the ignorant and superstitious witchcraft resorted to by Yitzhakel's distraught parents. It was the doctor's wise counsel, not the herbs and ointments, which for Yitzhakel made the sun shine and the birds sing again. Yitzhakel would have been a miserable goldsmith or silversmith, but he had the makings of a first-rate coachman. The facilities of modern youth and community centers afford invaluable opportunities for American youth to find and learn the particular pursuits which they most enjoy and which contribute so very much to a full and wholesome existence. The nation's community centers can make no more significant contribution than by guiding hundreds of thousands of Yitzhakels to their own particular stagecoaches and horses, which they can drive along the highway of life as happy, well-adjusted citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Loeb. Our Eternal Light drama today, A Magic Power, was adapted for radio by Sigmund Miller from a short story by a contemporary Israeli writer, Ari Ibn Zahav, author of the book Jessica, My Daughter. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Cadens. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured as Yitzhakel was Skip Homeyer, and Roger DeKoven was the narrator. The production was under the direction of Frank Pett.
Free time to present The Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.